On the night of Thursday, the 11th of July 2019, 41-year-old Paul Allen was standing in his kitchen in Woodford Green, East London, when shadows stirred in the garden beyond his back doors. At that moment, two figures unleashed 6 rounds from the darkness, shattering glass and striking Allen in the neck, leaving him fighting for his life. No warning, no mercy, just a message etched in blood, echoing the savage legacy of Britain's underworld empires. This was no random hit. It was a gangland execution planned to perfection. And as the shooters fled to their waiting getaway car, they left a trail that would expose one of Britain's most elusive criminal masterminds, Daniel Kelly, a man already wanted across Europe and Asia. Welcome to Crime Pulse. If you're new here, hit subscribe and join our community exposing Britain's most audacious underworld empires. Like, share, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next calculated move. Let's step into the shadows of London's East End. In the shadowed edges of London's East End, where cracked pavements echo with restless ambition and old estates hides the scars of survival, Daniel Kelly's story began. Born in 1991, Kelly grew up in a world where choices were few and consequences were swift. So, for a boy surrounded by struggle, the streets became his first teacher. From an early age, Kelly showed a mind sharper than most. But intelligence without direction is a dangerous thing. By his teens, he'd already found purpose in the thrill of defiance, breaking into derelict buildings, boosting scooters, running errands for older boys who ruled the blocks like kings. Postle Park had its Birdman. London had Daniel Kelly. He wasn't loud or reckless. He was calculating. The kind who watched before he acted, who learned people's weaknesses before exposing his own. Friends remembered him as quiet but intense, with eyes that missed nothing and a knack for making money where others saw risk. At just 16, he was arrested for the first time, burglary. Police reports said he broke into a local tech store with 2 others, making off with laptops and phones worth thousands. But even then, there was something different about Kelly. He wasn't stealing for flash or status. He was studying systems, alarm patterns, blind spots, timing. Each crime was a lesson, each arrest a correction. By his late teens, Kelly was moving beyond small jobs. He wasn't content to be a street soldier. He wanted to build something bigger, something smarter. And that hunger, that quiet obsession with control, would soon draw him deep into London's criminal underworld, where money talked louder than morals and loyalty was measured in blood. By his early 20s, Daniel Kelly had shed the skin of a street thief. He was no longer the kid boosting scooters for pocket change. He was an operator, the kind who knew that control came not from chaos, but from order. And in London's shifting underworld, order came through money, silence, and fear. Kelly's transition from petty crime to serious operation began around 2013. He started small, fake designer gear, resold through online marketplaces under ghost accounts. He learned how to move goods undetected, how to launder cash through shell listings and offshore digital wallets. His reputation grew quietly. The young man from East London who always had a plan, who could turn a £500 job into a £5,000 return. His early partners recalled him as cold, but always 5 steps ahead. By 2015, he had stepped fully into organized crime. Using a mix of encrypted messaging apps and burner phones, he coordinated thefts across London, high-end cars, watches, and stolen data. He began rubbing shoulders with older, more established figures in the capital's underground economy. Kelly understood that violence drew heat. Efficiency, on the other hand, built trust. He recruited small, loyal teams, disciplined, anonymous, and motivated. Every move was documented like a military operation. Those who worked with him said it felt less like a gang and more like a business meeting, one where failure had fatal consequences. He was evolving, from street criminal to strategist, and his ambition was about to explode beyond London. By the mid-2000s, Daniel Kelly's reputation in London's criminal underworld had shifted from street-level hustler to high-value operator. His jobs were quiet, deliberate, and always profitable, the kind of work that left investigators chasing shadows. But his ambitions didn't stop at Britain's borders. In early 2015, Kelly joined forces with 2 brothers from South London, Louis Ahern, 36, and Stuart Ahern, 46, both known for precision break-ins and handling stolen art. Together, they orchestrated a daring raid on a museum in Geneva, Switzerland, a job that would later draw headlines across Europe. The crew gained access to the museum under cover of night, disabling alarms and cutting through a rear service entrance. Once inside, they moved directly for a secured exhibition area containing rare 18th and 19th century timepieces, jewelry, and artwork, some on loan from private collectors. The hall, including luxury watches, gold ornaments, and several paintings, was valued at more than £2 million. Authorities later recovered only part of the stolen collection. Forensic traces and surveillance footage linked the Ahern brothers to the break-in. The suspected mastermind behind the operation, Daniel Kelly, had already vanished. Using forged documents under the alias Daniel Kent, he slipped out of Switzerland within 24 hours of the raid, evading capture. Interpol quietly added him to a watch list, marking him as a person of interest in the cross-border investigation. The Geneva job confirmed what investigators had long suspected. Kelly wasn't just another London criminal. He was operating on a global scale. In November 2015, Daniel Kelly executed another daring jewelry raid, but this time in Tokyo, with his son Kaney Wright and an associate named Chappelle, one of the most audacious international crimes linked to Kelly. CCTV footage captured all three arriving at Narita International Airport on the 18th of November 2015, before heading to a shared accommodation known as Elm Share House. Japanese investigators tracked their movements carefully. From the share house, the trio took taxis to the Harry Winston boutique in Omotesando Hills, a high-end luxury store known for rare diamonds and jewelry. Inside the boutique, they confronted a security guard, overpowered him during the robbery, and made off with £630,000 worth of jewelry. In the rush to escape, they left behind several personal items, including an Armani jacket, which later helped investigators trace their movements. The raid was meticulously timed. The trio exploited quiet hours in the boutique and relied on prior knowledge of store operations, transport patterns, and Tokyo's urban layout to carry out the theft. Despite the violence, they avoided triggering any larger alarms beyond the immediate store response, allowing them to flee the scene quickly. The operation drew the attention of Japanese authorities, who issued an extradition request for Kelly and his accomplices, though he did not appear in prior hearings due to a concurrent conspiracy to murder case in the UK. The evidence presented in January's High Court judgment included CCTV, taxi records, and eyewitness accounts, all establishing their presence in Tokyo during the raid. This heist combined international planning, daring execution, and rapid escape, marking a turning point in Kelly's criminal career. It was one of his first high-profile violent operations abroad and demonstrated the boldness that would define his later activities. By 2018, Daniel Kelly had proven he could execute high-profile thefts across Europe, but back in the UK, he shifted his focus from international heists to a more unconventional and audacious operation, using drones to smuggle contraband into prisons. Kelly, then 27, operated the drones with remarkable precision. The devices carried tobacco and the psychoactive drug spice into multiple jails, including HMP Swaleside, HMP The Mount, and HMP Elmley, with at least 4 confirmed successful flights and 2 unsuccessful attempts into HMP Wandsworth. In April 2019, Kelly and his wife, Ingrid Kelly, were spotted by a police patrol near HMP Swaleside. Realizing they had been seen, the couple fled the scene, abandoning their vehicle at a holiday park in Laysdown, Kent. Inside the car boot, officers discovered the drone, spray-painted black and with its lights taped over, likely to avoid detection. The drone's storage drive revealed the full scope of Kelly's operations, confirming multiple prison flights and illustrating the meticulous planning behind his flights. At Maidstone Crown Court, Kelly admitted conspiracy to project an article into prison, becoming the first person in the UK to be jailed under this law, which had been introduced only the previous November following a rise in drone smuggling. He was sentenced to 14 months imprisonment, while charges against Ingrid Kelly, 25, were later dropped. Detective Constable Mark Silk of Kent Police highlighted the severity of the crime. Daniel Kelly's offending was serious. It shows a lack of respect for our justice system, and it is appropriate that he has received a custodial sentence. This conviction marked a turning point. For Kelly, it wasn't the end of his criminal enterprise. It demonstrated both his audacity and his willingness to exploit new technology, setting the stage for the violent episodes that would soon grip London. On bail after his April 2019 drone arrest for the pioneering of drone smuggling operation, Daniel Kelly didn't slow down. Within weeks, he became involved in a violent plot targeting Paul Allen, a 41-year-old career criminal and one of Britain's most notorious figures. Allen had previously been convicted for his part in the Securitas armed robbery in Kent, one of the largest cash heists in UK history, stealing £54 million, much of which remains unrecovered. Police investigation later revealed that Kelly, along with Louis Ahern, 40, and Stuart Ahern, 50, had planned the shooting meticulously. The trio conducted surveillance on Allen's home and fitted a tracker device to his car to monitor his movements. On the night of the 11th of July 2019, Stuart Ahern waited in a car hired 2 days earlier, while Kelly and Louis Ahern snuck into a garden overlooking Allen's back garden in Woodford Green, East London. Just after 11 p.m., 6 shots were fired through the back doors and windows of the house, one striking Allen in the neck as he stood in the kitchen. The attackers fled back to the waiting car, leaving Allen fighting for his life. DNA recovered from the garden fence and bullet casings linked Kelly and Louis Ahern to the scene, while CCTV tracked the hire car used for the getaway. An iPad that was crucial to the investigation was fished out of the River Thames, and a Glock handgun compatible with a laser sight recovered from Kelly's address matched the casings found in the garden. The shooting immediately triggered a nationwide manhunt. Police teams from multiple forces, including Metropolitan Police and Kent Police, were deployed to track Kelly and the Ahern brothers. Officers combed through CCTV footage across London, tracing every vehicle, street, and escape route used by the trio. Detectives also monitored Kelly's known safe houses in South London and Kent, while intelligence officers received tips from local informants and concerned residents. Analysts mapped Kelly's patterns of movement, noting that he frequently switched vehicles, changed residences, and used aliases to evade capture. Police also tapped into his network of associates from previous international heists, which provided insight into possible hideouts. The operation lasted several days, with teams conducting covert surveillance, stakeouts, and rapid response coordination across multiple boroughs. Officers moved quickly whenever Kelly or the Ahern brothers were spotted, narrowing the search area with each sighting. Finally, the coordinated effort paid off. Kelly and the Ahern brothers were spotted leaving a safe house, prompting a rapid containment operation. Police moved in simultaneously from multiple directions, preventing any chance of escape. Kelly was arrested without incident, along with Louis and Stuart Ahern. During the sweep, officers recovered firearms, encrypted devices, and other evidence directly linking the trio to Allen's shooting. Kelly was immediately returned to custody, facing charges including conspiracy to murder, firearms offenses, and organized criminal activity. The investigation also connected Kelly to his previous international heists in Tokyo and Switzerland, illustrating the breadth and audacity of his criminal career, also highlighting the reach of law enforcement and the network of intelligence required to bring a high-profile criminal to justice. Kelly's arrest marked the beginning of a high-profile trial at the Old Bailey, where prosecutors presented a detailed chronology of his criminal enterprise. Witness testimony and forensic evidence painted a clear picture of a man who had escalated from high-tech heists, including the Tokyo and Switzerland operations, to violent street-level attacks. The jury heard how Kelly had orchestrated the East London shooting with precision, demonstrating both planning and audacity. On trial with Kelly were Louis and Stuart Ahern, his longtime accomplices, who had carried out surveillance, provided logistical support, and actively participated in the attack. Evidence from the iPad, firearms, DNA, and CCTV established their direct involvement beyond reasonable doubt. After deliberations, the court delivered a resounding verdict. Daniel Kelly was convicted of conspiracy to murder, firearms offenses, and organized criminal activity, receiving a 36-year custodial sentence with an additional 5 years on license. Louis Ahern was sentenced to 33 years in prison, while Stuart Ahern received 30 years. The court emphasized that the sentences reflected the gravity and premeditated nature of the crimes, and the extensive planning that had gone into the attack. The trial underscored Kelly's evolution from high-tech international heists to violent, street-level intimidation. Justice had finally caught up with him, sending a clear message about the consequences of organized crime in the UK. The case marked a turning point, exposing the violent extremes to which Kelly's criminal network had evolved. The fallout extended to the next generation of his network. Caney Wright, Kelly's son and former West Ham United youth player, was arrested in 2023 for attempting to sell a stolen Ming Dynasty vase valued at £1.9 million, a relic linked to one of Kelly's earlier heists. Wright was sentenced to 3 years in prison, illustrating that the ripple effects of Kelly's operations reached far beyond his own actions, ensnaring those closest to him. As for Paul Allen, the intended victim of the 2019 Woodford Green shooting, he survived the attack, though left with lasting consequences. His life, marked by prior convictions and high-stakes robberies, was forever altered by that night. The story of Daniel Kelly is one of escalation, a career beginning with carefully orchestrated thefts, advancing into audacious international heists. His legacy, both feared and infamous, underscores the dangers of organized crime, the resilience of law enforcement, and the courage of those who ultimately spoke out to bring him and his network to justice. Thank you for joining us on Crime Pulse, where we uncover Britain's darkest crimes and the human stories behind them. If Daniel Kelly's story left you stunned, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and share this video to help others understand the scale of organized crime. Stay tuned for our next deep dive as we continue to explore the pulse of the underworld.